The number one way to overcome fear is to do the thing that feels the scariest. Do the thing that you're most afraid of doing to show yourself it's really not that bad. And it's really worse in your mind, way worse than it'll ever be in real life. Because the more that you're playing it in your mind, it's just adding to the fire. It's just adding to the fear. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Break Out of the Matrix, Boom, the podcast. Oh my God, I am so excited because today's episode is going to be all about how I manifested a $50,000 launch for my signature group coaching program, Manifest Your Dream Life. And I first want to start this off with, don't compare my chapter 20 to your chapter 1. And that's a quote that I heard once, because a lot of times we see people on social media or we listen to these podcasts, we hear these big numbers and we wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do that? Rather, I want you to look at this through the lens of, look what's possible for me. Starting it out here with that is that you can't confuse temporary defeat with failure. There is such a difference. There are so many times that I wanted to give up, but the difference and the reason why I manifested this launch is because I didn't give up. I had this unwavering faith and unwavering belief in myself. So let's get right into how this happened. And I first want to preface the conversation with, I had a launch earlier this year that did not go as planned. So what had happened was I launched this course earlier this year, completely different. I launched it as a do-it-yourself course where people would enroll and they would completely do it on their own with some support through Facebook group and live Q&A calls. And what I realized through doing the calls, because I have actually been doing this program, or I sold this program for the first time ever last December of 2021. So we're almost coming up on 1 year, and there's been a lot of different iterations. There's been a lot of changes, and that's because you can't expect your first course to be a masterpiece. You have to learn, you have to collect feedback, and you have to hear from your students, hear what they like, hear what they don't like, and be adaptable and be willing to change. Because if I was still selling that first version of the course in the first iteration, I would not be at the level that I'm at today. And the reason why this launch was so successful was because I listened. I listened to what people wanted. I listened to how I can support. I listened to what my ideal student wanted, and I focused all of my energy on creating the best version of that possible. So when I launched this program earlier this year, I didn't feel good about it. I was listening to a lot of noise. I had invested in some courses myself, and I was trying to do things very cut and dry and like a template. And I really went against my own intuition, and that's when I learned the difference between ego and intuition. So that's lesson number 1. Always know the difference between your intuition and your ego. How do you tell the difference? Your intuition is this quiet and calm voice, and it's going to keep coming up in every situation, but it's going to be quiet and it's going to be calm, and you're going to question it and you're going to say, is this my ego? Is this my intuition? Your ego is going to be very loud, very noisy. Your ego is in your face. Think of it like a screaming child. That's what your ego is like. Listen to me, right? It takes practice. Differentiating the ego and the intuition is definitely going to take practice and time. So if you're at a place right now where you're like, I don't really know the difference, you have to start acting on your emotions. You have to start acting from a place of differentiating and say, is this the quiet and calm voice, or is this the screaming child? And then you'll learn by doing. And like I said, I didn't know that I was acting from a place of lack and fear and ego in the first time I launched this program last April or last May it was. I didn't know that it was the ego until after. And I just remember doing that launch, like trusting everybody before myself. And that's why I know that it, quote, flopped, because energy is everything. I wasn't fully ready. And this is where I also want to get into the conversation of, when do you know that you're ready to put that idea out there? So when do you know that you're ready to take action on your ideas? The way that you can tell if you're ready is is by having it feel scary to the mind, but exciting to the soul. You have to stand behind what you're doing, because if you don't trust it, how are you expecting other people to trust your ideas, to trust your expertise? You first have to trust yourself. And there is this element of maybe it's not 100%, but if it's 99% and you're like, I'm doing this because on a deeper subconscious level, I believe in me. I believe that I was made for more. Act on it. The only time you shouldn't be acting on your ideas is if you're truly coming from a place of fear, anxiety, or worry. If you're coming from a place of, I don't believe in myself, I don't trust myself, first look at those and look deeper and say, why don't I trust myself? So through this launch earlier this year in April or May, I just remember I didn't trust myself. I trusted everybody else before myself. And it's no wonder that it flopped, because I didn't believe in me. So how were my ideal clients or my students going to believe in me? And I'm also sharing this with you guys because I'm a work in progress too. I never want to come on social media and say, I have it all figured out. I have every single answer. A coach is only an amplifier for who you already are. So a coach is not here to fix all of your problems, or let me say a good coach or a good mentor. A good mentor is here to amplify all that you already are. And in my mentorship, I would never want to push onto somebody and say, do this thing if it doesn't feel 100% aligned, right? So I personally believe in selling higher ticket offers, right? Like multiple 4-figure offers for coaching, for group programs, for courses. But if you don't fully stand behind that, and if you're like, you know what, I really want to launch a membership, let's say, and you so believe in a membership, you should do that. You should never, and this is a major red flag in the coaching industry, is stop believing that people know better than you. Just because somebody makes more money than you does not mean they know better than you. And this cost me a lot of expensive mistakes. Like the time I had invested almost $20,000 into Facebook ads, and I lost about $11,000 in ads. And that's when it really becomes a problem of having money to spend and to invest in your growth and in your business, and the lack of trust in yourself. So if you're wondering, what are my next steps? First, listen to yourself first, because I got myself into a lot of trouble, like I said, trying to listen to everybody else before myself. I got myself into a lot of lost money, and I didn't sit and sulk, and I didn't say, oh, it's this person's fault, it's this course's fault. I actually looked in the mirror and I said, Julia, this is all on you. Nobody told you to do these things and said, if you don't do them, you're gonna fail. That was an internal dialogue that I had with myself, and that's when people need to learn to take massive accountability. You have to take accountability for your mistakes. Stop blaming people, because when you point one finger, you're pointing 3 back at yourself. Right? So just remember that you are your own guru. And this is something that I had wished I learned so much sooner when I first started my business. I thought that because somebody had more money than me, somebody had more followers, their business model was the best, and they knew the best. And let me be the first to tell you that people who are flashing big numbers on social media, you're not seeing their bank account. You're not seeing how much they're actually keeping of that money. You're not seeing a lot deeper of what's going on behind the scenes. So remember, you are your own guru. The amount of times I've listened to other people in the industry that were wrong and my intuition was right. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't always be learning and evolving and adapting. I think it's just going back to that intuition and saying, what do I truly want to do? So after that failed launch and that flop, and it was really more of a temporary defeat rather than a failure, because I talk about this a lot, and you'll know the difference between a failure and a temporary defeat, because a failure is only a failure if you accept it as such. A temporary defeat is a hurdle, and it's a time where you say to yourself, I'm more motivated than ever to make this work. And that's exactly what was going through my mind after this launch. I knew I needed some time to really debrief, time to just take a step back and to realign with my intuition and that inner knowing. So that's exactly what I did. I took some time to myself. I realigned to my truth, and I said, Julia, what do you really want out of life? What do you really want out of this business? Why do you want to achieve these big numbers? What do you really want? And that's when I got into the motions of being more motivated than ever to relaunch this program, but my way. I knew that I wasn't launching the program in the past in a way that I truly wanted to. And of course, there was some upside, right? I learned a lot through this experience. And I always say, you're going to learn through your failures. You're not going to learn through your big major milestones, right? How many times do you look back on a failure and you say, wow, I learned so much from that experience, opposed to achieving a milestone, right? You rather look at the process rather than the feeling of actually achieving it. Think a little bit deeper and say to yourself, what lessons in my life have brought me to where I am today? So that lesson of that failed launch actually really motivated me to do better and to be better and to actually improve on myself and improve on my triggers and my new layers of beliefs that I needed to create for myself to embody CEO who really believes in her products, believes in her programs, believes in her coaching. And that's the work that I was really doing all summer. So I knew that I was ready to relaunch this program, but I was scared. Like, I'll be so honest with you. I was very fearful. I was very nervous. And I was really like, what about if that happens again? And what I've learned through this experience is that confidence is doing the thing that feels scary. So feel the fear and do it anyways. That's exactly what I did with this launch. I felt that fear, that inner fear. This could combust and blow up in my face again. It definitely can. But the same way my therapist told me when I was in high school, your first heartbreak will be the worst and it'll only get easier from there. And she was right. And that's exactly how I felt about this launch. I said, that was the absolute worst feeling I could have ever felt. I felt like such a failure. I felt like such a disappointment. I had so much self-doubt. I questioned my whole business. I questioned everything that I do. And I was like, it definitely cannot be worse than this. It can only be better. And I knew that showing up and speaking on this experience was actually going to help people. And I knew that the more I waited, the more I was doing a disservice to the people that needed this program and the people that needed me. I knew the program was badass. I knew my coaching is badass, but the difficulty, and if you're an entrepreneur, I really want you to listen up here. It's not that people don't want your products and services. It's usually that there's a miscommunication of the value. And that's exactly what was happening in April when I had launched. It was a miscommunication of what I was offering and how I was energetically aligning to that. What I decided was to take the time and say, what do I really want out of this program? I really craved connection. So what I decided to do is, instead of it being entirely do it yourself, I switched it to be a live group coaching program. And what I found is that a lot of people wanted me. A lot of people wanted my eyes on their business, on their specific situation. And that was the disconnect I was feeling when my course was entirely do it yourself. Now, I can picture being do it yourself in the future again, but right now I really feel like this course and my students and people in this state of the world need me and need me live on Zoom calls with them. That's exactly what I did. I changed the program, and this went against all of the courses that I was investing in, all of the gurus. And I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna go against what everyone is saying and I'm gonna do what I wanna do. If you're on social media, you probably see all the buzz around passive income. And my thoughts around passive income is that you actually have to do the work first. You actually have to build a really successful product or business or offer first before you can start receiving passive income on it. And a lot of these gurus aren't telling you that. So I've joined a lot of courses to learn about passive income when it comes to the coaching industry or the course industry. And I really believe that you have to have a fully aligned offer first, and you have to have people who really want that offer before you can actually turn it into passive income. And that's just my beliefs on it. So that was really my mentality around this program, was let me run it live, let me actually work with my students, let me actually hear from them, let me be connected. And I think that a lot of people online who are just promoting passive income, it's almost like, why do you want to be so disconnected from your business? And I get it, right? Like, of course, I want to start doing more streams of income that are passive, but why would you want your whole entire business to be passive income? So I remember one month when I was selling this course very passively, and I was selling it via sales calls, and I was getting on discovery calls with people. I like to call them like value calls now because they're really more than a sales call to me. I was getting on calls with people, and then I was like literally so bored after they enrolled in the course, and I was like waiting for them, and I felt so disconnected from them. And I was like, I want to connect with my clients. I want to talk with them. Like, I was literally literally in their inboxes being like, how are you? Like, I want that. And if a coach or a course creator like doesn't want that, why? Like, why wouldn't they want to be connected to their students or their clients? And that's really how I look at it. So I decided to change it, a lot of the behind the scenes of the program, right? The offer and what came with it and what was included. I also offered a paid in full bonus for anybody who paid in full, got a free one-to-one coaching call with me, which I felt so good about, to set really like intentions for the program and to really kick off the program strong. So after I decided to make these changes, I knew it was time to really get systematic about the launch. So I hired my first assistant this summer. She's just part-time, but she has helped me so much. And that was a huge help in assisting me in this launch as well. I don't know if I could have made such a massive successful launch if I didn't have this assistant. That went really well. And then I decided to really work on my belief system around this launch. So in the past launch I did, I was very afraid. I was really afraid of failure, and that's what I did. I quote failed, but we know now it was just a temporary defeat. I decided to make a shift. So if you are an online coach, if you are a course creator, the way that I like to look at launching now is like a party. A launch is a party, and everyone wants to go to a party, right? So think about it like this. When you are having a party and somebody says, I can't come, what about when they start seeing everybody on Snapchat, everybody on Instagram posting about this party, and then they missed out, and then they have FOMO, and they're like, damn, I wish I could be at that party. And that's exactly how I think of launching. Launching is a party. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably know that I sing and dance every single time somebody enrolls in the course. And that's because like it is such a huge energetic exchange, and it's such a mutual investment that we have in each other. And that's how I look at my coaching. That's how I look at my programs. Like, I want to be involved with people. I want to be hands-on with people. Like, I love that part. So that is a massive tip, looking at launching as a party. The next thing I did was I was really more motivated than ever with this launch, because I knew that this was going to represent so much more a big number that I was trying to manifest, right? This launch meant so much to me because it was me overcoming this massive mountain that I built or created for myself, because earlier this year, I doubted everything. I doubted myself. I doubted my abilities. I had so much imposter syndrome after that temporary defeat that I faced. So I knew that this was going to be so much better. And just me showing up to do it, I already won. I already planned that if nobody was going to enroll in the course, I was still going to show up on the Zoom calls every single week by myself and teach this course, because that's how badly I wanted it, and that's how good I felt about it and how aligned I felt to the offer. So if you're watching this and you're wondering why you're not at the six-figure level, why you're not earning the money that you want, ask yourself, are you really aligned to your products and offers? Are you really aligned to the things that you're selling? Are you really standing behind what you say? Because earlier this year, I wasn't. And it was because I was listening to all these other people. It's not that my course wasn't good, or it's not that my course wasn't valuable, but it was that I didn't believe in myself. So that is the very first step in launching anything, is believing in what you sell, believing in your products, believing they have the ability to change the world. So I always think of this quote by Maya Angelou. She said, after I wrote 7 or 8 books, I asked myself, I hope they don't find out who I really am now. And that really opened my eyes, because it's like, Maya Angelou, like, she wrote 8 books. How could she have imposter syndrome? And it's just to show you that everybody has their own shit and everybody's overcoming it. And what I coach my students on are my limiting beliefs a year ago, right? And now next year, I'm going to coach them on what I'm going through right now. So it's like, every layer, you become more qualified in life experience. And that's why I say to a lot of my students, it's like, what have you been through? Because that's what you can coach people on. So me overcoming this launch fear not only helped me overcome the fear of launching, because now I love it, and now I know it's like a party. And a little part of my ego, I heard it creeping up as I was thinking about what I wanted to say for this podcast, and was like, well, Julia, what about if you don't do it again? And I was like, but I already won, because I already helped one person listening to this overcome their fear of launching, or fear of putting their services out there. It doesn't even have to be a big grand old launch. It could just be you going on your story and saying, I'm offering one-on-one coaching. So overcoming that fear and saying to yourself, you know, what I said to myself was, I'm so fucking ready to stand in my authority. I have experience. I have testimonials. I've sold hundreds of courses in the past. Like, what could be so scary? Like, I'm here to help and support and guide people. And this is what you have to remember. You were put on this earth for a reason. The more that you dull your shine, the more that you're afraid to put your products or services out there, the more you're doing a disservice to the people that need you. There are people that need this gift that you have, and the more that you let your imposter syndrome or your self-doubt take over, the less you're able to impact, the less you're able to make this world a better place. And that is my sole motivation and purpose for building my business. My motivation and purpose for building my business is to leave at least one person a day inspired and motivated to take action on their big dreams. Because the problem that most people have with manifestation is that they are not taking action and they're wondering why shit's not falling from the sky. And that's the truth, right? I think about the example with Jim Carrey, and he talks about how he manifested a $5 million deal with Dumb and Dumber. And he wrote himself a check for $5 million. And then he strictly says in this video, but I didn't just sit around and eat a sandwich. I walked through Hollywood and I visualized myself as being a successful actor. And that was like one of his first gigs. He practiced every single day. So it's like, for me, manifesting this launch, the way that I did this was I visualized, I did the affirmations, I did the inner work, I did the shadow work. But then the only way that I was actually going to overcome that fear of launching was by doing the thing that felt scary. So if you're wondering how to overcome fear, you have to do the thing that feels the scariest. You have to show your subconscious mind that it's wrong, because your mind is going to try to validate every single thing that you tell it. So the way that you can prove yourself wrong is to do the thing that feels completely opposite, to do the thing that feels the scariest and show up with your authority, with your knowing that you know that you're stronger than this. You know you're stronger than any of your limiting beliefs. So once I did that internal work, I asked myself, what's the inspired action that I really need to take here to manifest this launch, to manifest a successful launch? And I wasn't so strict with the number that I had put on it. I was just more like, I want it to be better than the last one. And it ended up being so much better than I could have ever imagined. And I know that I welcomed in the most beautiful, amazing souls. I welcomed in the best energy to this group. And I just know that the people a part of this round makes me so excited to show up each week for 12 weeks and coach them and have this mentorship and work together. Like, I'm teaching women how to build wealth, how to build successful businesses, how to be in alignment with who they truly are. How could I not wake up each day insanely motivated and excited and ready? So I wanted to see who was interested in this. I wanted to see the kinds of people. I wanted to get some feedback. So I did a pre-sale launch. So I literally just put up on my stories and I said, I'm launching this new program. Let me know if you want to hear more about it. I started connecting with people in the DMs, and the response rate was insane. Most of the sales for this launch came from the pre-sale. And I realized it's because I was connecting with people and I was really seeing deeper where they were struggling. And I was connecting with people and saying, hi, I'm a real person, right? I think there's a lot of fear in the online course industry where people always feel like they're going to be scammed. So that's why I really like to personalize my experience to let people know, like, hi, I'm a human being. I'm a coach. I'm a mentor. I've helped hundreds of people and I'd love to just help you too. That's really all it is. Like, do you want to do life together? And that's exactly what I did through the program and through selling it through the presale. So I was doing the presale and that went so well. And then I went into selling via my masterclass. So I hosted a free masterclass. It's not available anymore. It was for a limited time only. And from the masterclass, a ton of people loved the content in the masterclass that they ended up applying. So that's another thing I changed. I made this program by application only because I realized that I only wanted the best energy in this program. I only wanted the best of the best. And what I mean by that is the people who were actually willing to do the work, to take action. Because the problem, like I said, a lot of people when manifesting, they just want things handed on a silver platter. That's not how my business works. That's not how my coaching works. That's not how my programs work. People have to do the work. And let me be the first to tell you, there's plenty of people who don't want to do the work. There are plenty of people who would rather sit and sulk. And this is something that was really difficult for me to overcome. And if you're also a coach or you're also a mentor, I want you to really remember that most of the time it's not your fault. If somebody is not willing to do the work, if somebody is not willing to do the things that are you're teaching them or you're telling them, that's not on you. My mom always says, you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. So what that means is you can give people all of the tools, all of the resources, but what they're going to do with it is up to them. And that's what was happening, especially with my course in the past. People were not doing the work. And that's why I knew with the group coaching and making it a live group program, there would be more accountability. We also took the group off Facebook, and now we're using a private app called Geneva. I'm really excited to use it. It's similar to Slack, but it's less professional. It's more for like a group chat kind of vibe. And we can hold each other accountable. Like, I'm going to be in there coaching. I'm going to be in there giving support. I'm going to be in there daily for 12 weeks. Like, that's the most exciting part of this program. And that's the part I feel the best about. So the pre-sale went amazing. That did really well. And then what was really cool was I actually enrolled some new one-on-one coaching clients through this experience. So as I was connecting with people in the DMs, I realized not everyone was really looking for group coaching. People wanted that one-on-one support. Now, my one-on-one coaching is a 5-figure offer. It's $10K for 3 months. So onboarding those one-on-one clients was huge and was a huge contributing factor to the launch. And I remember in the beginning when I was manifesting for this launch, I was like, this is how many people I want. This is how much I want to make. And then I stopped myself in my tracks and I was like, let me just let go of the how and let it manifest in the way that it chooses to, in the way that the universe wants it to. So when I heard that people wanted one-on-one coaching, I decided to reopen the doors to that. And like I said, I was craving that connection. I was actually craving to work with people one-on-one. I wanted to open the doors back up for one-on-one coaching. So I sold one-on-one coaching on the back end. Then I also made some sales for my other course, which is a mini course, and that did really well as well. That course has over 200 people in it. Like, that's something that's upcoming. I haven't shared more about that, but I'm actually reworking that entire course, and I'll be relaunching that again very soon. But right now, all of those offers are closed. If you're interested in working together, you can send me a DM and we can see what would be the best for you through many different opportunities. And I decided, you know what? Let the universe do its thing. Let me release the how and let me just trust that the right people are going to come in the most divine timing. So during my launch and after the masterclass and after I did all of the things, right, the inspired action, I just trusted. I didn't sit around on my computer all day refreshing and saying who purchased, who filled out the application. We got over 50 applications for this program. So I just trusted. And it's like, dream clients did fall from the sky. Like, that absolutely happened. I remember on the last day, this one client submitted an application. It was like, she was so perfect for the program. And I'm just like, where did you come from? And this is what I want other coaches to remember. Your dream clients are watching you in every single moment. If you could just see every single person that's watching your content every single day, just because it's not thousands, all you need is one person. So this dream client that fell from the sky and filled out an application on the last day, she had been watching me. She had been watching me for a while. The major energetic piece to manifesting massive success through this launch was just thinking and trusting that there was an abundance of money in my vortex. So what does that mean? I pictured myself having an abundance of money flow in to me and into my business. I pictured this money in my vortex on its way to me, and I knew that it was in my energetic field, and I had no doubt about it. I fully trusted and leaned back on the how and really focused on the steps of inspired action, and I knew that my work was going to be seen by the right people at the right time and the people who were truly ready. This is another thing that I also want to touch upon is trusting people's timelines. Trusting that when somebody says no, that doesn't mean no forever. That means no right now. So holding a long-term vision for you and clients. So if you're thinking about launching a course and you're like, but I wanted this much, or I wanted this much money, I wanted this many clients, could you have truly handled that? Think of it like that. Think of it deeper on that level, because back in April when I was launching and I wanted it to be, this next level thing, the universe always has your back. So if something's not working out the way that you want it to be, ask yourself and really, why is the universe not delivering what I want? What is the deeper reason to this? That's what I realized through that last launch. I was like, oh my God, it totally makes sense. And now I'm so ready. Like I have my assistant, we have a way better offer, we have a way better program, and I just couldn't be more excited for it. And also in the past, right, that program was open for anyone. Now I realize why I did it by application, and I wouldn't do it any other way for a live group coaching program, because we're going to be on these calls every single day. And like I said, like there is an application for a reason. If there's somebody who wants to invest, but they're just going to slack off and not do the work, I don't want them in my program. And I'm so okay saying that, because I've worked with hundreds of people by now, and there are people who don't want to do the work. Like there are people who would rather procrastinate and sit in their fear and their limiting beliefs. Not everybody wants to change. And this is a harsh truth that I had to understand in my business, in my life, that you can't force people to do personal development work. You can't force people to do work that they don't want to do. They have to come to it themselves. And the difference with this launch was that my process was entirely client-led. It was for the client or for the person who was ready to embark on this journey. And there were tons of people that said no right now, but that doesn't mean no forever. I'm going to put you on my vision board. Do you know how good that made me feel for someone to send me a DM and say, not right now, but I'm putting you on my vision board? That is a true dream client. You don't want to be forcing people or pressuring people into your products and services. And this is what these other courses were teaching. And I was getting so frustrated, and they were like, they don't see the value in your product. Yeah, I understand that to some extent, right? Because there does have to be masculine strategy. You do have to have a good offer. You do have to have a valuable offer, but you also have to trust people's timing, and you have to trust that no means no. And yes, there is some inspired push that needs to be given, because not a lot, but I would say some of the clients that did join felt scared and nervous, and they just need to talk to somebody. And that's why I was in my DMs for so long in a majority of this launch, because there were people who just needed to hear, like, it's okay, like take a leap on yourself. But that's so different than somebody who doesn't actually want it and who isn't actually going to put in the work. So this launch was a massive success, a massive abundant success, regardless the amount of money that was earned in this launch. That's just one element. The fact that I was able to fully overcome my launch fear. If you're afraid of failure, ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of being humiliated? Are you afraid of being embarrassed? Are you afraid of somebody telling you I told you so? Because your fear of failure is what's keeping you stuck. What I realized was that the best entrepreneurs fail and they get back up. Fall down 9 times, stand up 10. And that's what I've learned through my experience, is that if you're afraid of failure, don't be an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneur is failure, failure, success, failure, 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 success, failure, 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 right? It's always about iterating and changing your process, because those are going to be your best learning lessons. You're not going to learn when you sit and achieve a massive milestone. You're just not. You're going to learn the times that you're breaking down on the floor crying. I remember after that launch, I broke down and hysterically cried. I was so fearful. I was so upset. I was so mad at myself. But I knew that having those emotions weren't going to benefit me in the long term, but they were going to cause me enough pain to actually make change in my life. I couldn't go on trusting everybody else except myself. And I knew that pain was so terrible emotionally that I had to do something different. And the only way that I was going to come out of this stronger was by doing something different. So what I decided to do, and what I would recommend for any entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, you have to look at your failures as temporary defeats. Understand that they are just one stepping stone to the beautiful big picture. I would not be here sharing this podcast with you if I didn't go through that failure myself. So how can your failures add to your story? How can those learning lessons help you change? Because the universe is going to give you the same lesson over and over again until you listen. What is the universe trying to tell you? What is keeping you stuck? What are you doing over and over again that's not working, and you're forcing something that's not meant to be? So think a little bit deeper and a little bit outside of the box, because I easily could have said to myself, I'm not made for this. I'm not made for this coaching program. But instead, I said, let me change the plan, not the goal. So every successful entrepreneur knows you can't change the goal, but you can change the plan. And you can change the way that you go about it. You can change the way that you do it. The number one way to overcome fear is to do the thing that feels the scariest. Do the thing that you're most afraid of doing to show yourself it's really not that bad. And it's really worse in your mind, way worse than it'll ever be in real life. Because the more that you're playing it in your mind, it's just adding to the fire. It's just adding to the fear. So I want you to think about the things that feel really scary in your life, whether they be in business, whether they be in your personal life. And I want you to really think about, why are you so scared? Why are you so triggered? Where is this coming from? Maybe the universe wants you to open your mind, expand your perspective, go a little bit deeper with yourself. This experience through this really successful launch has taught me a lot. And the reason why I say that it's taught me a lot in terms of success and in terms of having a massive success after a massive failure is because I didn't give up on myself. I easily could have given up, but I chose not to. I chose to take the path that my success is inevitable, that no matter what, I was going to be okay, right? I invested in mentorship. I invested in my own mastermind. I invested in support. I invested in a team member, right? I invested in help. I invested in myself and my business, even when it felt scary because the numbers weren't reflecting it. And I said, well, I have nothing set up to earn income right now. How can I invest in a coach? I knew that I wasn't earning income because I wasn't investing in a coach who could help me out of this, who can help me through this. Mentorship, sisterhood, people who have been through failed launches before. I don't think I could have done this without my group coaching program, without my mentorship, because my own, like the mastermind that I'm a part of, because everybody needs support. Nobody is self-made. And if somebody says they're self-made, I want you to look a little bit deeper and look at their support system and the people that they had around them. Maybe they didn't have a ton of support, but I'm sure they had one or two people that were helping them, were a shoulder to cry on, that were a person to lean on, because everyone needs support. And that's why I'm so big on coaching and mentorship. I hope you love this podcast. If this really resonated with you, I would love for you to leave me a review. I would love for you to share it with somebody that you know could use this podcast, that needs to listen to this. So I love you so much. Thank you for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel or come listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I'm really excited and I'm feeling really good about this podcast. I'm getting so much great feedback and it's so helpful for me. I love when you guys share, tag me in your stories. I love to reshare your tags. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all the new members of Manifest Your Dream Life for having so much trust in me. And I just know that we are going to make so much magic, because I'm already getting DMs of people being like, I missed the deadline. I want to be a part of it. I'm putting it on my vision board. I'm absolutely joining next round. And that makes me feel so good and even motivated that I already am to just have the most kick-ass 12-week online coaching program. I love you guys so much. You can join the waitlist in the show notes and I will see you in the next episode.